Hello, in this video we are going to be talking about the aliens and I am going to give you my opinion how I think aliens are going to look like and why I think they are going to look like humans, that they are going to have one head, hands, legs and so on. Obviously, we do not know how aliens are going to look like and all of this is just my opinion. Reality can be different, but yeah. Also, I am not a scientist, so I know these things little bit and I am trying to create a bigger picture, but as I said, I am not a scientist, so there are things that I do not know exactly, but yeah. So, in my opinion, all life in the universe started as a single cell life organism. You know? Because on Earth, life started probably most likely in the ocean and it started as a one cell life organism. Then it evolved to the complex life and eventually to the primates and to the humans. And I would say that something very similar is probably going to happen everywhere. One little disclaimer that I want to say, and that's I am open-minded to the possibility that the universe is more than just material thing. So I'm open-minded to the possibility that there may be something spiritual, there may be some entities, angels, souls, consciousness which is not generated by the brain or something. But when we are going to be talking about bodies, something physical, something 3D, I would say that probably most life in the universe started as one cell life organisms. Also, there may be parallel universes and things may work completely different in there. There may be other realms, there is this dark matter, dark energy, there are black holes. So what I am going to be talking about is going to be about life on planets, which orbit stars and so on. Also, there is, we are based on carbon, we are based on DNA, and we live on a rocky planet with oceans. But there are also, other possibilities. You have planets like Jupiter's, and they are going to be gas planets. And on those planets, life may look completely different than on a rocky planet. But I would say that when you are going to have a planet like Jupiter, like something which is going to be only gas, I would say it's highly unlikely that you are going to evolve a complex life, not to say intelligent life, on that kind of planet. So I would say that the planets like Jupiter, they may have some bacteria life or some cell life, one cell life organisms, but I think that you need to have something solid, in order to have complex life. And if there would be some life, complex life or intelligent life on these planets like Jupiter, I would say it's going to be rare and most life is going to be, on rocky planets with the oceans as we are. So yeah, as I said, we started as a bacteria life, as a one cell life organisms, and I would say that probably everywhere in the universe, except of those, angels, dark matter, and parallel universes, it's going to start in a very similar way. Because I don't think that you are going to have, for example, dinosaur just like that, out of the rock, or that you are going to have some insect, some spider or something just like that, it makes complete sense that life started as a bacteria life and it evolved, and it makes complete sense that there is probably no other way how it's going to start elsewhere. We are based on carbon and we are based on DNA, and there is a very good reason that I do not want to go in this video that we are based on carbon. So I would say that it is highly likely that other life in the universe is going to be based on carbon or is going to be based on silicon. If you know a little bit the chemistry and you know the periodic table, the carbon is the best options, and we know these elements. We know that there is the hydrogen, we know that there is oxygen, and we know that these elements are everywhere in the universe. So we know that unless these aliens are, as I said, made up of pure consciousness or dark matter or something, they are going to be based on atoms, and carbon or silicon, but carbon is the best candidate. So I would say that if not all, many life is going to be based on carbon. And if it's going to be based on DNA, that's hard to say. I don't know. But anyway, you are going to start as a one-cell life organism, And if you are going to stay as one-cell life organism, okay. But eventually on Earth, it took a few billion years, but this one-cell life organism evolved to the complex life, And this complex life, if you are going to go to some exoplanet, to some ocean, it is going to have some kind of 3D shape, It's not going to be like completely unrecognizable for us or something. Basically, you are going to have some kind of shape, And if it's going to be in the ocean, which is very likely that most life is going to start in the ocean, there is a high probability that there is going to be something similar to the fish or to the octopus or to the shark, because the life probably is not going to be like a cube, Maybe yes, but probably it's not going to be a perfect cube. Probably it's not going to be perfect sphere, So it is going to look somehow, And as an example, imagine that I am going to give you a big stone or big ice like a cube, and technically you could carve every single animal, every human or everything that is on this planet to that cube. You have a giant cube. Let's say if you want to make dinosaurs, you would need a huge cube, but you can, as a sculpture, create, any animal that live on Earth. And the same thing, I would say, is it makes sense that it's going to happen everywhere, And so it's going to have some kind of shape. If you would go there, you could create a photo. Photo would be black and white and blurry because for some reason aliens, UFOs photos are black and white and blurry. But you would be able to take a photo. Okay, one thing is that even though that they are not going to be based on carbon and they are not going to be based on DNA, they are going to be some kind of 3D shape, And fish look like fish because it is efficient way to swim in the ocean, So when you are going to have an ocean, the life is going to create something efficient to swim. So I wouldn't be surprised if universe was full of fish or fishes, fish. But yeah. Also one thing, and that's some people may say that on these different exoplanets, you are going to have different gravity, you are going to have a different distance from the star. The star may be bigger, it may be smaller. But I would say that when you are going to be inside of the ocean, it really doesn't matter how far you are from the star, It matters to have a liquid water, but once you have liquid water, that's fine. And also gravity is like, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, the gravity that much when you are deep in the ocean, Because what is the difference in having Earth gravity, and being like 100 meters below the ocean, or having some planet that have 2 or 3 times the gravity of Earth, but you are going to be 500 meters below the ocean, or other way around. But basically, I would say that the conditions deep in the ocean are probably going to be similar everywhere. Now, one interesting thing to think about is that imagine that we are going to go to some exoplanet, and on this exoplanet we are going to go to the ocean, and in the ocean there is going to be complex life. There are going to be some ocean, some sea creatures, And imagine that you are going to find 1,000 different species or more, and you are going to pick one which is going to look most familiar to you. Something that may look like fish or something. And then you will go to Earth, and you will go to the ocean, and you will find the wildest creature that lives in our ocean. Because in our ocean there are, typical things like fish and octopus and so on. And then there are these very, very weird creatures, And then compare the wildest creature in ocean from Earth to something most familiar to you from some exoplanet. And I would say that the familiar thing from the exoplanet is going to be much more familiar to us than the wildest creature from Earth. Obviously, in these exoplanets, they are also going to have wild creatures, but my example was like finding the most familiar one. Okay. In my opinion, because I would like to talk about the intelligent aliens, you need to go out of the water in order to be an intelligent species. And I would right now put intelligent level as the ability to go or to send something out of your planet to the different planet. Like we humans, we are sending things to the moon, we are sending rovers to the Mars, and I would right now want to focus on a intelligence level. Like in order to be intelligent, it means that you need to be able to send something out of your planet. Because on other planets, we have many, many intelligent animals. Elephants, they are extremely intelligent. Dolphins, chimpanzees, some birds, crows, and so on. But they cannot, send spaceships to the Mars. No matter how intelligent octopus is, it is just an octopus and it can do amazing things, but it cannot send spaceships to the universe, So I would say that in order to have this kind of ability, to have some kind of aliens that can, go from their planet to somewhere else, you cannot stay in the ocean, and you need to go to the land. Okay. Now, once you are on a land, things may be a little bit tricky, because right now it matters, how far are you from the star. Right now it really matters what is the gravity, right now it really matters whether there is oxygen or there is not oxygen or something. But I think that, the life will go out of the ocean, and still it needs to have some kind of 3D shapes. It still needs to look somehow, And you are probably not going to have perfect cubes just rolling around, Or you are not going to have perfect spheres just, in the land. So you are going to have some kind of animal. Maybe it's going to have 2 legs, maybe it's going to have 4 legs, maybe it's going to have 20 legs, who knows? But you are going to have some kind of creature. Interesting thing about evolution on our planet, and I am not expert, but I read about this couple of times, is that evolution in some areas happen in here couple of times independently. For example, sight, like eyes, they didn't evolve only once, but it evolved couple of times independently. Maybe even 20 times independently the sight evolved, The same with the flying. It didn't evolve once and then you had, one animal that was able to fly and everyone who is able to fly right now is from that animal. No, the flight evolved couple of times independently, The same thing with this eco, that some, I think, dolphins or some bats, they use, they use sound, and the reflection of the sound is telling them what is the environment. It evolved couple of times independently. So I would say the evolution on planet and in the universe, it is going to have some kind of, similar things that it want to achieve. And one of the things is probably there is going to be some eye, because you need to see. You need to, not everybody needs to see, but you need to see, You need to smell, you need to hear, you need to touch, you need to, Maybe they are going to have some other things that we do not know right now, but probably they are going to be able to see. They are going to have eyes or some way to detect the environment. One thing is that, it may be really like hard to imagine these aliens, but maybe not, because maybe this is going to sound very, very weird, but I may say that fish and cat, they don't look that much different, Because, if you are going to have a cat and you are going to get rid of the limbs, the shape of the cat is kind of similar to the shape of fish, The same thing as if you are going to scale down the dogs, scale down the lions, scale down the elephants, and so on, they kind of look similar, So yeah. So I would say that on these exoplanets, you are going to have weird animals. You may have some kind of weird dinosaurs. You may have giant insects. You may have small elephants and so on. But it's going to be, in my opinion, some kind of animal, Now, when we are going to be thinking about intelligent aliens, I think that one way to think about this is go from the exoplanet back to Earth and imagine that, right now we are the only intelligent species. And let's say that we are going to get rid of humans and we are going to give Earth one more chance to evolve something intelligent as humans, which is going to be able to send something to the Mars. The best candidate would be chimpanzees or some of these primates because we evolved from them, or we have the ancestors with them, but yeah, and the most likely would be that the chimpanzees or some of these primates would evolve back to something intelligent. Okay, let's get rid of all of the monkeys, all of the primates and everything, and try to imagine what would have to happen to the animals, in order to become as humans, to be able to send something to the Mars. What would have to happen to dogs, cats, lions, elephants, octopus, shark, zebra, spiders, it doesn't really matter, but what would have to happen in order, so they are going to evolve to something intelligent. Let's say that we are going to give them 100 million years, 500 million years, it doesn't really matter. We are going to give them time. Just what needs to happen to these animals so that they will be like humans, okay? Let's start with this cat, dog, elephant, lion, tiger, bear, and so on, So they have 4 limbs, and probably they would need to start to walk on only 2 limbs, like have 2 legs, and they would need to use their, front limbs as hands, to be able to create tools and so on. They would probably need to have some kind of fingers, and yeah. When they are going to be, using hands and have 2 legs, they are eventually going to be walking straight, And if you imagine bear, it may be like humanoid bear, but it is going to be, something intelligent, but it's going to be based on bear, And lion, the lion would need to be straight, and it would be, something like a monkey, but, with the lion face, and eventually it would evolve to something intelligent. So, in my opinion, most of the life, maybe not most, but many life, complex life, many mammals, they would need to start to look like humans, to be walking on 2 legs and so on, in order to evolve to something intelligent. There are exceptions, of course, because I don't know what would have to happen or what could happen to the spider or to the octopus and so on. So maybe, spiders or octopus or something, crows, they would evolve to something intelligent, but they wouldn't be like humans. So I don't think that all humans or aliens are going to look like humans, but probably most, And now when you go to the exoplanet and you are going to have some kind of animals, what would have to happen to those animals in order to become intelligent, In here on Earth, we have many, many animals that have 4 limbs, Maybe on this exoplanet they are going to have 20 limbs, But, evolution in here showed that for many big creatures, it is very efficient to have 4 limbs, because only 1 wouldn't be the good, only 2, you wouldn't have the hands and so on, so it's not very efficient. 3, it's not symmetric and so on. And maybe if you would have some creature that would be like a mammal and it would have 8 limbs, let's say 4 legs and 4 hands, it takes energy to grow them. It takes energy to, send blood or, to maintain them and so on. So maybe evolution with the time would be like, but hey, I do not need to have 8 limbs or I do not need to have 12 limbs. Why would I need to have 6 hands when 2 hands are enough? You know? So I am not saying that evolution is entity that thinks like this, but you know, maybe even spiders, if they would evolve to something big and to something, you know, intelligent, maybe they would get rid of some of the limbs because they wouldn't need them, you know, or maybe they would become something intelligent with 4 legs and 4 hands, let's say, but yeah. So I think that if on Earth you would need something to become similar to humans in order to be intelligent, to be able to send something to the universe, probably something similar would have to happen on these exoplanets. You know, as I said, the gravity and so on, it may make things different, but I think that eventually you are going to have something like a human, mostly. Also, on Earth, it works, you know? It works, we have become like this, you know? And if this works in here, there is a high possibility that is going to work elsewhere, you know? On Earth, we have millions, maybe billions, different species with different shapes, different sizes, and so on. And only one was able to become intelligent, you know, as I said, animals are intelligent, but not as we are. So maybe there is going to be millions and billions species, animals in the universe on these exoplanets, and only, you know, couple of the shapes are the correct one, the right one, to have something as human intelligent or more intelligent. So yeah, basically I would say that most aliens, they are going to look like humans, intelligent ones. There is going to be billion of different animals, creatures, and things of this nature. You may have some aliens that are going to be intelligent but different from us, but I would say that it's going to be rare. It's not going to be that common. You know, maybe 80% of aliens are going to be humanoid, and 20 are going to be something like an octopus, spider, or something like a snake, or I don't know, something weird. And you may have, you know, this 1% or less, which is going to be based on this gas, Jupiter or something. But as I said, I don't think that these gas planets, they are going to have complex life, not to say intelligent. So yeah, basically this is my opinion how aliens are going to look like. As I said, there are these other options that we didn't, you know, talk about because I have no idea what if there are parallel universes. I cannot tell you how they look, you know. I don't know what is this dark matter, you know. I don't know if there is consciousness beyond the brain and there are entities or something, you know. But when we talk about 3D life, planets, and so on, I think that it may be something similar as my opinion, but obviously I can be wrong. I don't know, so yeah. So yeah, this is it. I'm not going to waste more of your time. Thank you very much for watching these videos. If you can write me down in the comments if you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, and if you don't agree with me, why you think that it is going to be different. I don't know, so I am not claiming anything, so I would be really interested reading your opinions and so on. So yeah, thank you very much. I hope you have some kind of new perspective maybe. Take this just an opinion, and yeah. Take care. Thank you one more time, and goodbye.